she'll just sit in the living room, not even at the window, just barking. Like, what
Yeah.
are you doing? Are you scaring
Yeah.
away the nothing? Is the
Yes,
nothing goblins gone?
that
Like,
is exactly what they're doing.
and then she looks
Yeah.
at you and she's like, "Well, you're welcome, Mom. You don't have any nothing goblins, thanks
They're
to me.
gone.
They're gone."
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest with us. I'm so excited to have her on the show. Ashli Rose, welcome.
Hey, how we doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, rocking and rolling,
Yeah,
Never
I
a
hear
dull
you.
moment.
No, it's not. So, Ashli is one of my favorite local musicians. She lives here in the area where I do. She's got some new projects she's working on. Ashli, tell us a little bit about when you started playing music.
Oh gosh, ages and ages and ages ago. I was about 14 when I started gigging out,
Yeah.
and I started out acoustic and the solo singer-songwriter stuff, which I still do. I just released a couple of singles. One was recorded at Echo Mountain, and the other one I did in my spare time as a gift to my mother, which
Nice.
those are all on Bandcamp. And tried out a couple of different band projects. The solo thing was the only one that was consistent through the whole time.
Yeah.
So no, I branched out to a few different kinds of genres just to see what stuck. Right now, it's more of an expansion of my solo project to be a full band. I've got a
Right.
project going on right now called Honey Wolves, and I was in Smoky Mountain Sirens doing a little more aggressive punk rock stuff. Not just jumping all over the place, seeing
Right.
what's fun.
What do you listen to? Like what does your playlist look like? Your Spotify playlist or
It's pretty eclectic.
Yeah.
And sounds like utter chaos from the outside, I'm sure. But no, my happy place is from Billy Joel to early 2000s pop punk and emo music.
That's
So
awesome.
it's not exactly what I play in
Right.
any way, but that's usually if I'm I own the Guitar Witch Repairs. If I'm in here and there's no customers, when there's customers, I have local bands playing, just to keep that support going. But if I'm alone, it is blaring My Chemical Romance or Taking Back Sunday or
That's awesome.
my
That's
daughter's really
awesome.
into Fall Out Boy right now, so
Oh,
that's
yeah?
been going on loop. Yeah. She heard Fall Out Boy did the soundtrack to a movie she loves, Big Hero 6.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she's all about the centuries.
That is so cool. I've kind of been all over the place too, and I go through phases with my music. Like I was in 7th grade when I started playing guitar. And at that point in time, like the only thing I had been exposed to, I grew up, my dad is a Southern Baptist preacher. So like I grew up bluegrass gospel music at that point was really what I was exposed to. So I saw
Funny,
these.
I'm with you there.
Oh,
I grew up
really?
in a Southern Baptist home.
Yep.
My dad was
Yep.
a deacon when I was a kid.
Yep. Yep. I hear you. Hey, us preachers' kids were the worst. We're terrible. And I lived up to that for a while. But anyway, so like,
Oh yeah, I'm a heathen.
me too. Me too. My grandmother the other day was like, I don't know what got you into them snakes. They're demonic.
Snakes.
Yeah, right. I said, I
They
guess
have whole passages and things.
right.
It's a whole ordeal.
But so that was the first music I was exposed to, and I took lessons from a local teacher who's honestly an amazing musician. Her name's Rhonda Googe, and she taught me, my cowboy chords and some scales. And I was really young too, so it was hard for me to keep focused on especially learning the boring stuff. But I'm glad that I did, and I went that route. Excuse me, playing that kind of like bluegrass gospel for a while, because in the end, that made me, I think, a more well-versed musician and a
Totally.
better
Yeah.
musician. But then I went from that. Then, like Leonard Skinner really taught me how to play guitar. I got into classic rock, and Skinner was, I don't know what it was about them. When I was in like 8th grade, I heard Sweet Home Alabama, and I was like, "What is this? Oh my God!" And
That's
now
our favorite.
yeah, oh God, I know. And now I laugh at it and, make jokes because it's Leonard Skinner. But
Well,
honestly, I mean, that's what taught me how to play guitar.
yeah, no, I was supposed to be the kid that plays piano. We had a ton of kids
Uh,
in my family,
mhm.
multiple siblings, and my brother was supposed to learn guitar. I guess the family band thing. My mom
Yeah,
was a singer, so whenever he would go to work, he worked at a like a go-kart place, and I would go sneak into his room and I taught myself how to play guitar. I'm
that's awesome.
terrible at piano. Like I took years and years of piano lessons, and I ended up only learning to play like Ode to Joy and Heart and Soul, and then I'm out.
Those are great songs, though. I mean, Ode to Joy.
Those are the
Yep.
main focal points of
Right.
my
That,
piano education.
that's
But guitar
awesome.
stuck, and then with your Leonard Skinner, I actually got into a lot of classic rock just because
Mhm.
of gigging in like restaurants, and you get those
Mhm.
request-based things. So I had to
Yep.
go in and learn all that stuff and then
Oh
regurgitate
yeah.
it back.
Yep. Yep. I know. I've been in several bar bands over the years, and
It's good money.
it it
I,
is. It really
you got to
is.
turn your brain off and think about your
Uh-huh.
grocery list during the gig. You do, oh, you do the
Yeah.
movements, and but then you end up making a lot of good money.
Yeah, I'm kind of, with the projects I'm doing now, I've got two. One's in its infancy. Of course, I've talked to you about
Oh yeah,
the,
that sounds great.
the Ghost project. Man, I don't know what it was. I'd never really gave Ghost a chance because, and I'm a metalhead. I like metal, but their imagery, I always thought they were like a Norwegian black metal band. That they were another
That's
Dimmu
funny. Oh, it's
Borgir
like they're
band.
if you listen to them, their image does not exactly
Mm-mm.
match what they sound like at all. And
And
I
that's
never knew that they dressed up in the full
yeah,
like garb. I was like, that's what drew me in the first place. I was like, that's awesome. I want to dress
really
up like a skeleton priest. That
right.
sounds amazing.
So I don't know. I never listened to him, and I was at work one night when I worked night shift, and I was like, I need some new music, and I started going through it. I was like, okay. I read the description on Apple Music, and it was like psychedelic, satanic, classic rock, and I was like, what the hell is that?
That's how they get you. That's the
Yeah.
grabber.
So I was like, okay. So I listened to one song, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are so good.
They're really good. And it's
They're-
definitely like classic rock, like borderline hair metal vibes,
yeah, yeah.
but like if you took that and put it in a cemetery, and then it's just happy for me. That's
Me too.
because if it was
Me
just like
too.
a bunch of guys on motorcycles singing the same thing, I'd be like, eh.
Me too. I agree with you. The
I need
imagery
some old
really,
school horror movie stuff.
right,
I love
right.
that.
And they do that, and it's almost like I've heard some people call them Scooby-Doo chase music because they kinda
Awesome.
have that, with the organs and that spooky kind of vibe too, but it's not cheesy, but it's so close to being cheesy, and
That's the
that's what
sweet spot.
it is, I love it. Um, who are your big influences in your playing? I know, you listed off who you listen to. Um,
Yeah,
who are
that's a
your main
completely
influences?
it's a completely different demographic of music.
That
When I was growing up, my mom, we would listen to a lot of like Dolly Parton, and then it would go into I moved into Joan Jett, and I got crazy inspired by her story. I was like, I want to be a rocker chick. I want to play guitar, but then my acoustic stuff, you got to go with what you actually sound like when you play and sing. And
right.
I go into kind of an Indigo Girls meets Jewel with some Janis Joplin rasp to it. It's
Yep.
it's very all over the place.
Well, it
So
works for you. You have an amazing voice. Your
thank you.
style is spot on. Like, I
I
mean, you really do.
pull I pull from everything, and it becomes something new, which is
It
great.
does. It does. It becomes uniquely yours. And no, I was blown away when you come up here and track the Siren song that you did. Like, yeah, your vocals, your musicianship period, but your vocals, wow, really, really blew
Thank
me
you.
away. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I owe a lot of that to my mother. She was
Yeah.
in the church we grew up in, or a couple of churches we grew up in. It
Hmm.
bounced around a little bit, the non-dominational to Baptist thing.
Hmm.
She was always in the church choir, so she always had a lot of like, okay, enunciate when you sing, hold
Hmm.
the note as long as possible. Don't sing from your nose. Don't do that. Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it helped me a lot. I hear her voice, and the newest song that I have on Bandcamp is called like Mother Like Daughter,
Hmm.
and it talks about that, how I constantly to this day, even like just in the back of my mind, I'll hear her voice, or when I'm talking to my own kid,
Hmm.
she's definitely there. Very grateful for that. You're like,
That's
no, no,
awesome.
open your mouth when you sing. Open your mouth.
That's awesome. That's great that you had someone to teach you that. My parents weren't musically inclined. Mom played a little bit. She owned several guitars, and I'm glad of that, because then I was able to um be exposed to them as a young kid, and mess around with them and kind of get to know the guitar a little bit. But us kids, so I grew up in a family, there's 4 kids,
Oh, me
and
too.
nice,
Yeah,
nice. And
lots of
we
kids.
all play to some degree. Me and my sister, and I played trumpet in the high school band. I was first chair trumpet, and I was in the high school chorus as well. Pretty much every year I was in high school, I was in chorus and band. My sister played trumpet and I think French horn and band. And then my 2 brothers both played drums to some degree. Andrew, the middle, well, the younger boy, he plays guitar, drums, a little bit of everything, honestly. And then Ben, the middle child, he played drums for a while too. I don't think he plays now, but all of us went into music to some extent. I'm the one that as like took it the farthest with all my studio stuff, and I kept it going. The rest of them just kind of let it peter out. My poor brother Andrew, he'll go buy a bunch of gear, and then like the first time he needs to pay off a credit card, he sells it all. I'm like, dude,
Uh,
what
I
are you
have a problem. I've got this thing I do with gear. If I cannot see myself being upset later on with selling
doing?
a gear, then I just can't sell it. I have to
Yeah.
keep it forever.
Oh
I've
yeah.
maybe only sold like 1 or 2 instruments in my entire life that have belonged to me, but everything has been
Yep.
core in my gear for years and years and years.
Yep.
I switched to bass, oh gosh, a couple years ago,
Hmm.
in some gig aspects, because people need bassists a lot more than guitarists, I found. And as a rhythm guitarist myself, doing that forever and ever and ever, it turns out I'm okay at bass. I'm all right.
No, you're a good bass player. You're right though. I'm the other project I'm in. I'm the bass player. I play bass and sing, and same deal. I mean, bass players are they're really hard to come by for some reason.
Yeah, well,
Um,
it's like a whole stigma behind like, oh, the bassist isn't the cool one. I
right.
can't front the band. Like, you could still front the band. Like
Yeah.
the the group that I'm doing now, Honey Wolves, we're playing all songs that I originally wrote on acoustic, and I'm having those turned out to be the ones I'm having the most trouble with, because I've played, 15 years on an
Uh,
acoustic guitar, and I'm having to switch over to bass and sing at the same time. Like,
yep. You're having to undo 15 years of muscle memory.
yeah. So
Wow.
I'm sitting there over and over and over again, repeating stuff I wrote when I was like 16 years old, like trying
Mhm.
to get it
Yep.
to not be the same thing.
Wow.
But there's
It,
actually a couple of songs we're playing now too that I wrote on bass, like
mhm.
post switching to bass, that I'm having to show the chords for the guitar to the guitarist, and my brain won't do it. I'm like, I keep wanting to go to where I'm playing bass. I'm like, it's this note, just play the C. It just go over there.
Oh my
Luckily,
God.
she's extremely talented, so I don't even have to help her. She just picks stuff up right away.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's hard to find good musicians. It really is, that want to, I don't know, not do the bar band thing. Like that's
Yeah.
everybody is, to quote the guitar player for one of my bands, get a load of me. Everyone wants to shred
Well,
and
it's the
have all the
spotlight.
attention. Yeah, they want the spotlight, and I'm like, I don't know. I want the whole band to be the spotlight. I want people to walk
Yeah.
away and be like, "Holy crap, they were good." Not, yeah, man, their guitar player was great. The rest of the band was like, "Man,
Woo. Yeah,
yeah,
we actually had to have a sit down and we were talking about what we expect as far as like the democratic band setting. Like,
hmm
okay, well, if one person says no, then that's all no. We have to sit down and
right."
discuss all these things in depth and respect each other on top of that.
Mhm.
Because you can put out great music, and if there's no
Yeah.
mutual respect, then it crumbles.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um,
I
there,
feel we've all been there.
yeah, we have, and that's an interesting. It's an interesting concept, the whole like democratic thing in the band, because it's like, I don't. So many bands fall apart. I feel like because they're, I don't want to use the word mismanaged, but
It's miscommunication, I've
yeah,
found.
a
If
lot of, yeah,
if
yeah,
if there's a even a small section of something that you're just not talking about it, but it's eating
mm,
away at somebody, then it's
yeah.
going to be a lot bigger of a deal later on down the road.
Oh, for sure, and that's just anything in life.
Hmm.
Anything in life. I've
And
got,
it,
no. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I would say it's just no different than in a relationship
It is.
than with
Yep.
a band. You
Yep.
practically are like you. Yes,
Yeah.
it's a business, and you're
Mhm.
putting out a product. But if you have a business partner that you just don't get along with, that business is not going to succeed.
No, no, no. It's not. Um, yeah, it's, and that's, I look at things largely from a business standpoint.
Yeah,
Like, not everything in life, obviously, because that would be a horrible way to view the world. But
yeah,
most, especially music stuff, a lot of, if I'm starting a project, I'll look at it mainly as a business. But it's, I don't know. I had a thought and it just poof, it was gone.
it's part of getting old, man. I
It
feel it.
is.
Go
Well,
into a room and stare
yeah.
around, and you just
Oh, I,
gotta like sit there with your loading circle. The hell was I doing?
oh my God, what was I doing? So many bands have broken up though because they're, like you said, miscommunication and that. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It's, that's why I like the idea of a tribute band, because then there's no like arguing over the material. There's no
Yeah,
arguing
you
over,
play it like it is. You get the
right.
job done, you get the hell out. I love that idea.
Exactly, exactly. That takes out so much bullshit
Hmm.
that, you might possibly have to deal with. Um,
Absolutely.
and that,
That's like honestly, that's part of what drew me to that. I'm like, you don't have to have any like big giant meetings about your
right.
feelings. You just get the job done, put on a good
Yeah,
show, and get the heck
yeah.
out. I love that.
And that's what, to me, it's all about the show. The music is, I hate to say this, but the music is almost secondary. And like, that's really bad. But I mean, you've ever talked to, I mean, think about when the last time you went to a concert. You didn't go, I went and heard this band. You said, I went and saw them.
That
I
is
mean,
true.
it's all visual. I mean, yeah, you're there to enjoy the music, but the show, I feel like it's such a larger part, and that's why, of course, the music I want to be like extremely tight and just like amazing, which I know for a fact we can pull off. But with that, the production and the visual aspect of it and the actual show has to be to that same level, I feel like.
For sure, yeah.
Um,
Because if you go in and you go to see a band and they're just sitting there like this, then people are gonna be like, "That's cool. I'm gonna go get a drink because he's
right.
just gonna be right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be
Come
right
back.
back."
Is that a statue playing guitar?
It's a cardboard cutout of.
Just somebody with a good. Oh my
That'd be
gosh.
that'd actually be really hilarious. You
How
just
long
phone it in and put in a
it
cardboard
would.
cutout of
Yeah.
yourself.
That's a great idea for a concept. Like everybody's backstage playing the instruments, and on stage
It's
is
just a
nothing but
cardboard
audio.
cutout. I don't think that would make a lot of money, but damn, it
No,
would be
no,
funny.
it would be great. Um, how long were you in the Sirens?
Oh gosh, we were together about 4 years almost.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we had a blast. I
Yeah.
love the music we put out. We got along pretty well, and
Mhm.
people just get busy.
Oh yeah,
That's
no,
all.
I
It
get it.
happens.
I get it.
But there's so many great
Mhm.
opportunities for fantastic musicians like the girls are. They're just fantastic musicians. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like when
everyone.
you got that amount of talent, there's a lot of people who want you, and that's
You're
great.
right. You're right. Um, yeah, gosh, how many times have I messaged you be like, "Hey, you want to be a part of this? Hey, you want to be a part of this?" That's
Yeah, and
the folly of being a good musician.
I've always been like I feel
No,
like
I
it
get it.
aligned this time a little bit
Right.
because I found that with owning and running Guitar Witch like 6 days a week, and then I got my kiddo, I found I could probably only be in one or two bands tops at a time before
Yeah,
I have no
yeah.
personal time at all.
No, I totally get that. Madison just messaged me. I'm gonna message her back real quick.
Awesome.
She wanted to know when we were thinking of Zooming. I'm gonna tell her we will be ready to in about 30-ish, 45 minutes, something like that.
Great. She's a blast. I did a little project with her band for a while, as long as I could. But it's like it's that mom thing. It's like
Yep,
the
yep,
big old priority is number one kiddo up there, and
yep.
if I feel like anything's digging into that too hard, I gotta
Oh,
make her a
absolutely,
priority every time.
absolutely. I'll tell her 5:30. We can do that, and I'm just gonna send her a link after we'll stop recording, and then I'll send her a link, and she can just join us in here, and we can all
Sure.
talk and converse. Um,
Yeah, I didn't even know this was a an app thing. I'm so completely
it's
behind.
awesome. This is so cool. Like, and it records and streams. This is what I used to do my streaming in too. It does both, and it's only like I have the pro account. It's only like $17 a month,
Oh dang,
and it
that's pretty
shoots
cool.
full 1080. And it doesn't use the processor on my computer, so it's really fast. But I like Melon. Anyway, I'll get back to the interview here. I messaged her back, so
Oh good.
yeah, I'm super excited about bringing her on board, and I think her fiance might be
Yeah,
interested in
Greg.
playing drums. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
he plays drums for Bombay Gasoline, her band,
yeah, yeah,
and one other one, I think. So I actually mentioned that to her. I was like,
yeah.
"We need a drummer. If you
Hmm.
got a drummer."
Yep. Um. So how old were you when you first picked up the guitar?
I was going on 12 years old,
Nice, nice.
and I started playing my brother's, and as a left-handed person, did not know they made left-handed instruments, and he had a right-handed guitar. So I actually am a lefty who plays right-handed, which works out in
Wow.
my business. I Most of the guitars are right-handed that come in, but as a lefty, I can also set those up no problem, which is fun.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
super cool. I didn't know that. Yeah, because you played right-handed, so I just assumed you were right-handed.
Nope. My daughter makes fun of me a lot. Why don't you use scissors right, Mom? God, because it hurts.
Yeah, I can imagine so. But I
My,
mean, you trained yourself to play that way, so now I'm sure if you switched, but I don't know, can you play left-handed too?
Not well, but
Yeah.
enough to work on instruments, which is all I
Okay.
really need.
When did you start working on instruments?
Well, I started doing a few things in the first music store I worked in when I was 16, like tiny little things. The fella that fixed stuff over there, though, was a little grumpy. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I started officially like training hardcore as far as I wanted to, like sky's the limit level, when I started
Uh-huh.
working at Guitar Mama, because there's only so much you can learn on your own.
Right.
But working with Autumn Greenfield at Guitar Mama for a few years, she taught me the bulk of of a lot of what I do. And then she and I
Mhm.
messed around with building for a little while after, and that opened up a whole can of worms that I just went in down a rabbit hole doing
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like we didn't build anything for too long. She ended up going her own path, and I don't know. I stuck with it. Building is far too time consuming, but I
Right.
can still make parts if they're not available. Like bridges, I carve
Yeah.
nuts and saddles, and I do body work if needed.
Mhm.
Bracing structures, rebuilding braces, which it's all come in handy.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've been doing that consistently from the day I started doing it and starting on restrings and working my way up. It's been about 15 years.
Wow. Well, it certainly shows in your work. I've been following you since I started bringing guitars to you, and I see,
Do all the
making
things.
parts. Yeah, I see, and I'm like, that is so cool. That is so
It
cool.
helps. It helps. I can't sit still, so I'm a
Right.
researcher all the way. I will go into big giant rabbit holes of research to figure out how to do something, and then test it 3 or 4 times before doing it on my own. I've got books upon books upon books, and thank God for the internet.
Oh, I know, right? I don't know what we did without the Google machine.
I don't know. I was very young. I remember it. I remember it being
it.
terrible, but
Yep.
that's the dark times.
The first time I think the first time I got on the internet was maybe, I remember the first computer, the first like PC we got in my elementary school. I was maybe in 3rd grade, and it was this Hewlett Packard that they got in the with the speakers on the side of the monitor. They got it in the library, and we couldn't touch it, but we could look at it, and the librarian could use it.
They put that clear plastic film over the front of it. I loved that, because then it would get like yellow even though no one smoked in there. Like how gross are we? Was it Jim Gaffigan talks about, what are we leaking, syrup?
Yes,
just
exactly.
Dirty, filthy oils, man. Humans are disgusting.
They would yellow. You're right. Oh yeah, we are disgusting. And I've said for a long time that the greatest thing, and really one of the only good things that's come out of COVID, is it's really shined a light, especially here in America, on our hand hygiene and how
gross we are.
Yeah.
It's like, I work alone, and I know I'm gross. I've got hand sanitizer everywhere.
Like right here.
Mine's on my toolbox.
Right.
Right there.
Working with my snakes, though, I keep it up here too, because after I handle them or mess with them or do anything, I use it. That's one of the reasons. I forgot what I was saying earlier. I got a new Rhino Viper, and I'm just sitting here watching it. He's exploring his new enclosure, and he's just doing funny stuff. He's so weird. Snakes are so weird.
Yeah, I just have 100 million dogs. Too many dogs.
100 million dogs.
Well, they feel like 100 million of them. I have a Pyrenees Husky mix, and a German Shepherd, and that alone is nearly 300 pounds of dog in my 2-bedroom house.
Yeah, no,
that equals like 40 Chihuahuas.
Your measurement was accurate. That is 100 million dogs.
So many dog.
I've had a Pyrenees before. Never had a German Shepherd. Yeah.
Well, I got fooled. The first one was the Pyrenees Husky, and he was a lot more husky than I realized. He's very smart. Yeah. But we get Pola, who is all Pyrenees, and Polar Bear, because she's white.
Right.
A big white fluffy cloud. And no, she barks all day long at nothing, just at the sky. We have a half acre. We let her do her patrol. She'll go out and she'll patrol the perimeter, and then just sit in the middle of the yard and bark at the sky. Yep. And we'll let her do that for a little while, that she can come inside and have her snuggle toy. They're all spoiled. But,
I'm sure.
But she'll just sit in the living room, not even at the window, just barking. Like, what are you doing? Are you scaring away the nothing? Is the nothing goblins gone?
That is exactly what they're doing.
And then she looks at you and she's like, well, you're welcome, Mom. You don't have any nothing goblins, thanks to me. They're gone. But then you have
it's gone because of me too.
Gone too. All the squirrels are gone. No, and then we got we call her Mochi, but Fox is the German Shepherd. It's a whole thing. But she is the exact opposite of Pola. Really? Silent all the time, solid black German Shepherd, and she just watches.
Yeah.
and then she'll trick them out of stuff by making like one little peep bark. Like if one of them's in the seat that she wants, she'll go to the window and bark, and the other two freak out, and then she'll just go take the seat. Like that dog is too smart. I need somewhere in the middle.
Right.
Axel is the perfect dog.
Yeah.
I got two polar opposites.
Yep.
Polar opposites.
Polar opposites. Nice. How punny.
How funny.
Yeah, our Pyrenees was the same story. And when I moved, the Pyrenees stayed where it is because I don't have enough room here, and it's still with family. So, but yeah, the Pyrenees would bark. And
Yeah,
it didn't bark during the day, but it was all night at night.
Oh no, she's the opposite. Like when my husband's home, she does not bark at all. She's just super chill because Dad's home, and Dad, I guess, is the keeper of the safety, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But I am like in their minds, not even beta, like whatever Z is, Zeta. They think I need to be protected constantly.
Yep. Well, I guess you'll look at it too. So like when he's home, the shift's over. So
yeah,
he can
shift's over. She's done.
Yeah, she's done. So he can take on the keeper away of the nothing goblins. I like that. That's good.
I was not sufficiently keeping the nothing goblins away, so
Apparently
thank God for Pola.
Yeah, apparently not. Actually, gosh, dropping the ball.
What's wrong with you?
Dropping the ball
but
there.
I do love, because I keep Mochi, the German Shepherd, I keep her down in the shop with me. So I'll have customer drop-offs, and they won't even realize she's there. So I've got her in her kennel, and she just sits next to me all day long. And I give her toys, and we hang out. And if she wants to go out, she's right by the back door, so she can come and go as she pleases. But she just sits there, and there's a big jack-o'-lantern with eyes cut out that I made for Halloween. It's like a beanbag toss, and you just see her face and just her eyes, and it just looks like a void of monster. And
hilarious.
I'll be like, "Oh, hey, I'm Rose. That's Mochi in there." They're like, "Holy crap. You have a monster in here." And she's like 100 pounds. That's a big dog.
Big dog, yeah.
I am never worried about any problems here at the Guitar Witch. There is a monster.
There's a monster lurking at the Guitar Witch.
There is.
That should be your slogan. There's a monster lurking at the Guitar Witch.
See if you can spot her. She won't let you know she's there.
What's been the wildest guitar you've ever worked on?
Oh, I get a lot of really great projects that come in. One of my favorite clients brings me just pieces of instruments to build something out of them, and I think that's great. That's cool. At one point, he brought me this just fantastic bass, but none of the parts fit in together, so I had to sand some stuff down and fit some stuff in, and he gave me a bag of electronic things that nothing went together, and we had to make that work. It turned out really cool.
Oh, nice.
But no, he brings me projects like that all the time. One he found in a dumpster. There's actually, if you go on my Facebook or my Instagram, the Guitar Witch Repairs, there is little before and after pictures of stuff I did with that one. It's a sunburst, and he and I designed the pick guard I carved together. That's a really odd shape.
Yeah. And
I carved some pickup rings out of some Pau Rosa wood I had. And
I think it turned out,
yeah, it turned out really cool.
That's
but
awesome.
it was just one he found in a dumpster.
Wow. Who would throw away a guitar?
Well, it was essentially just a neck and a body. So I had some used pickups and some pots, and we just made a monster. I like making monsters.
Yes, they're so much fun.
The one I'm working on right now is actually I don't normally work on things for myself. The last project I did was I got a 1984 Embassy bass, and it's beautiful. And I found it at the guitar show when it came through last go around. I was running a booth. I don't think I'm going to do that this year, but
yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you were.
Yeah, I don't know. It was on a whim last year. It might be on a whim this year. We'll see. Depends on if I'm doing anything that weekend.
Right.
But no, this guy was selling this just awesome bass, but it needed fretwork, and the electronics didn't work because most of the digital stuff from the 80s kind of sounded like farts. So
Yeah.
I ripped all that stuff out. I redid all the frets, and it's gorgeous. But
Yeah.
now I have, from that same guitar show, a friend of mine bought me one that's called the Rosemary's Baby, and you can see a picture of that on Instagram as well. I don't know if I've got, let's see, I'll take you over there.
Yeah.
So this is the Rosemary's Baby,
That is amazing.
and
Holy
she's a
cow.
monster. Like
I love
right
that.
now, it's still as is. I'm going to take the the pickup out and put something in a little nicer and rewire it. It's got a ground wire that goes directly out of the body on the outside of the instrument, so we're gonna tunnel that in.
Right.
And I'd like to make that absolutely playable one day.
Sure.
Right now, it's just hideous,
Yeah.
and I love it.
Do you still have the first guitar you ever owned?
I do. It is displayed right next to Rosemary's Baby.
Let's see it. Oh, nice. A Strat.
As well as my Joan Jett Barbie.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So cool. I still have the first one too. It's an old Silvertone acoustic with no truss rod, and the strings are that far off the fretboard. So it's just hanging up.
Is it got the steel reinforced neck in there, or is it just old school all the way?
Old school all the way.
There was a Silvertone arch top that came in recently that I had. It had very similar issues. We ended up having to reset the neck, and I had to pull the back off and redo the braces entirely, and then put the back on. It was an ordeal.
I'm sure this one would be too, and like part of me wants to do that with it, but it was my great grandmother's guitar, and the other problem, like, I'm not going to play it anyway. Most likely, it's just going to be hanging on the wall. So I'll
put those silken steels on it, make it last a little longer.
Yeah.
Do you use those strings?
No.
Ooh. They are the core of the string is actually like a nylon synthetic instead of steel.
Okay.
So
cool.
you still have the B and E. The first and second strings are still just the steel, but the core of each wound string, it feels very similar to like on a nylon string guitar.
Okay.
Without losing the acoustic integrity, it's just a lot less pressure.
Awesome.
For crazy bowed necks like that, I usually recommend that. It's also great for anybody who has any issues with gripping the instrument and chording, fretting. It's easy on your fingers.
I need to check those out. I've been using Elixirs for forever, and one it's not playable. So I think there's no telling how long those strings have even been on it. So I'm not worried about it. But if I do repair it, which you would be the one repairing it if you took it on. If I took it to anybody, it would be you. So I don't know. We'll see if I ever decide to. I don't know if I am or not. And what were those strings called again? Silk steel?
Silken steels. Actually, the Martin makes silken steel, and also Diodario makes a set. I believe Diodarios are lighter. They're 11s, and Martins start at 11.5.
Gotcha.
The more you know.
Yes. Because no.
But I always recommend those to like when kids are first starting out. It's just a lot softer without having to go over to a classical. And like the necks are so thick on classicals most of the time, just to compensate for how wide that vibration pattern is.
Yep.
But speaking of which, here soon I'm going to start teaching probably every couple of months a master class on how to restring your own instrument and take care of your own instrument at the Jim Beaver's School for Music.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good time.
Have you ever thought about doing a YouTube channel where you like document your repairs and stuff?
I thought about that, but it turns out I do from time to time make like little Instagram videos, but with as many guitars as we get in, this being a huge music town, half the time I don't even have time to go eat. Like I'll forget to eat lunch, let alone like stop and edit a video.
Right. No, I get that.
I definitely do. Like any band I'm in, most of the time I'll do like graphic design stuff on the side, or I'll make like little promo videos for all that stuff. And right now my brother He does a rap project. He goes by D Digi, and
Okay.
I'm gonna start sending him sound bites. I actually started working on those today because I got a little bit of recording software here,
Oh, that's
and it's
awesome.
just like a couple of loops to send him so that he can put it in his
Yeah,
digital stuff.
that's so cool. And as you're
Is that out?
talking, my brain's just like going. I'm like, the graphic design, because yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah,
I was thinking, like, if you could, God, you could almost just like set up a camera and just like record yourself working on the guitars and get somebody to edit the video for you.
That is very true. The only downside, because I've thought about this in the past, I've done a couple of small videos like, hey, did you know that you could pull off this panel and access the screws on the inside of this ovation, like things like that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who have learned different ways of doing what I
Oh,
do.
sure.
And no matter, even if you're doing it correctly, there's always somebody that's like, oh, that's not how I learned it. And whew,
That's just the internet. That's
yeah.
just the internet. You can't
So
read comments.
I'm always very cautious to, like, I'll post before and after, but as far as the process goes,
Yeah.
even though I know 1,000% I'm doing it right, to avoid people who are a little judgy in guitar department, which there's a lot of very very vocal people about how to maintain instruments, whether they're right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I'm very careful about posting what can be misconstrued as the right or wrong way to do something.
That's
nature of the beast.
I know, and that's unfortunate. I just don't read comments. Like I don't, unless I'm just online like shit posting or something and intentionally. And you know, but there's groups and stuff for that. But like, nah, I just don't read comments because everybody's got an opinion, and it's like, man,
That's
who
very
cares?
true. As a healthy person to be, cannot say I am that kind of person.
You can't. Oh my gosh, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah,
Especially doing like in the snake business. Oh man, the little YouTube, even the little channel that I've got, and I've got it right now filtered to where like the YouTube filters out like potentially inappropriate comments. So I need to just let it go and be like, whatever. I may actually do that.
Have fun, guys.
Yeah, I may actually do that, but I get messages all the time. They're like, I can't believe you have these animals, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, chill out. Okay.
And he goes like, you know what's great is it doesn't affect you at all.
If I get bit, you're not gonna die. Like
it's almost insane, like how a lot of people view the internet as their own like invisible force field to where they can say whatever they want because they're invisible. Like people can't find you. Come on.
Right. You're absolutely right. I think the internet has been both the greatest thing and the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity.
Oh yeah. There's
social media.
Just a bastion of information at your fingertips, and then half the time, most of the time actually, nobody uses it. They just want to sit and be mean to people. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah, and you know it's different if you're being mean to your friends and it's all in good fun, but a stranger on the internet, like
what? Yeah, a lot of people think you're like, oh, it's just a stranger. I'm never gonna see these people again. I'm like, yeah, dude, they're gonna carry that with them. What you said, the things you say affect people. You got to think about how it affects people, not just how you would react.
And they don't care. That's why
Nobody
I
cares.
don't read comments. I don't read comments.
I've gotten much better about it. I used to read every tiny little comment. Be like, oh, I wonder if somebody commented now. And we're like, I'm gonna go make a snack.
Once you reach a certain point too, you can't read comments, especially like if you're, I mean, God forbid someone like one of us operates a huge channel, which I know will probably never happen for me. But yeah, like there's no way. Like I couldn't handle that. I wouldn't want to handle that. And it's, yeah,
like people striving for millions and millions of followers, like those are millions of opinions, man.
They are.
That's so many opinions.
It is.
I personally, like, I love playing music. I love, sharing my music with people. I I love being alone in my workshop more
Mhm.
than most things. So I am
Yep.
really sufficient in posting just the amount of information needed for all of my projects so that people know
Mhm.
how to contact me for,
Right.
solo, for band stuff, for
Mhm.
repairs, but not enough to where they know all my business.
Sure, sure, yeah. No, I'm pretty picky about what I post on, social media.
And you have to be. Like
Yeah,
people are very judgmental.
and the judgmental part doesn't bother me. I could honestly, like, I could not care less, about someone else's opinion, but what like, I want to leave myself some semblance of privacy, in my
I
life
actually
too.
I just saw an interview about Dolly Parton saying the same thing.
Really?
She's like, you got to draw that line, and she
Yeah,
found out long ago, like
yeah.
that's the line where people need to stay out of.
Yep,
I was
yep.
like, oh, I watched that whole interview. I'm like, you gotta show me how to do that. Just show me
Mhm.
how to do it.
Yeah, it's something, it's a thing you have to come to, I think, on your own. I don't know that you can be shown how to do that because, I put
No,
myself out there. I put myself on the internet doing, these little podcasts and talking about stuff. And sometimes I share my opinions, and I'm sure not everybody agrees with me. But that's the thing. Like, I don't care if someone disagrees with me. That's fine. I'm not going to hate them because they share a different opinion than me. And I don't feel like you should hate me for sharing a different opinion on whatever
that's
it is.
that's the dark side of that. Is
Mhm,
I've had to come to terms with not everybody thinks the same way. Like
mhm.
you do you, do what
Yeah,
makes you happy, but then there's people that just get mad when you do you.
they
Like
do.
she, look at her over there wearing a jack-o'-lantern on her arm. Hey, don't you know it's July? Like
It's
this,
like, I'll
I,
wear whatever I damn well please on my arm, thank you.
I'm gonna put my underpants on my head. What are you gonna do about
Exactly.
it?
And they have jack-o'-lanterns too, damn it.
Yep.
But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Misery loves company,
They
and
really do. And then they thrive on the more misery that's spread. It's
yep,
very sad. You just gotta be comfortable in your own skin and hope to God there's other weirdos that find you.
and there will be. There's always, the world's full of weirdos, and that's what makes the world really a beautiful and amazing place, because if we all shared the same opinions, if we all were into the same stuff, if we all were the same, it would be so boring and
So
uninteresting.
boring.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the whole, the opposites attract. Like my husband does not play music at all.
yeah,
At all. He
yeah,
does not understand when I talk about instruments. But
right.
that keeps things interesting. If he
Mm.
worked in my shop and all we talked about is the same thing, like, yeah, you remember that time you were 3 feet away from me and that same thing happened to you? That'd be boring as hell.
Right. You're right.
It's like
Absolutely.
there are times, like, of course, sure, I wish that we had things like that, like we could make
Mhm,
music together, but no, we have other things, and it's exciting. He and
mhm.
I just made a Pokemon board game to play with our family, not to turn it into anything,
Wow,
but because we like Pokemon and we're big old
that's
dorks.
awesome. That's awesome. You should turn it into something though. Why not? Why not? Turn it into
Um,
something. Do it.
well, it started out as a little game for to play with our daughter, and then it became so intricate
Mhm.
that it's like borderline Monopoly meets D&D kind of level of gaming. Like there's certain squares that you land on that you're like, a wild Pokemon appears, and then we have picked all of the, like, 'cause we collect Pokemon cards. We have
Mhm.
all of the 150 original Pokemon cards on a stack next to it, and then you choose
Wow.
a random Pokemon, and then there's like game level playing, like roll this to fight them, and oh no, it became a whole thing. I had to dial it back a little because my 6-year-old was like, "This is a lot. I'm gonna I'm gonna go do something else now."
Can I have
And
my
we're over here
iPad?
like, go!
You need to pitch that to Pokemon or whoever. I don't know if it's Milton Bradley. You need to pitch that to somebody in
It's
life.
a ton of fun.
You
Like we're
should.
enjoying it. We have I've made Team Rocket a lot more sinister as far as gameplay. Like
Yeah.
they'll go in and like steal one of your Pokemon, or you have to fight them, and if you lose, all your Pokemon are like fainted and you have to go to the Poke Center on the other side of the board game.
Oh,
It
wow.
like it ruins your whole streak. But it was cute though. We made like a little perler bead Pokemon and perler bead Pokeball, so it looks
Mhm.
pixelated like the old school video game, and those
That's
are the
so
game
cool.
pieces. It was a
That's
ton
so
of fun.
cool. Yeah, you totally need to pitch that and license that. Don't sell it.
That's It's
License it.
one of my favorite games to play now, and I like
That's
hand
awesome.
painted everything on there. So like you go through the different in the original series with Ash, like
Mhm.
you go through the Kanto region, you've got Pewter City and then Cerulean City, and you can go to Fuchsia, and then you can battle Giovanni, and
Mhm.
too many things.
It's
We
so
watch a lot of anime.
wild. It's so wild how Pokemon has stuck around for so long. Because when we were growing up, my brother was into it. I wasn't into Pokemon. I didn't get into anime, but my brother did. Huge. And then like I had my son, and then he got into it, and I'm like, wow, this is still a thing. Like and it's still the same.
Yeah,
Pokemon's
honestly,
still
like
around. Like
in the 90s,
huge.
my brother and I would go to a bookstore, and they had on Saturday mornings like Pokemon trading leagues
Oh,
and
that's so
games and
cool.
stuff. And we
Mhm.
would do that as kids. And I remember before Pokemon Go and all the new games on the Switch came out, I was like, well, I have all these cards. That was fun. I'll just give them to another little kid to enjoy. And then it all
Mhm.
became a huge thing again, and all those cards are super rare and worth a lot of money. I'm like,
Mhm.
damn it.
I know. Right?
And I'm like,
You want to
there's
look
like
them up on
original
Facebook?
Charizard for like
Oh
$500
my
from the
god.
90s. Like, what is wrong with me?
Oh no. Ah,
But like,
it's
and
okay.
our daughter's super into Pokemon too.
Yep. My son was. He's kind of he's gotten out of it. I mean, he still has. I mean, notebooks full of Pokemon cards, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
he.
we've collected all of our favorite ones. We mostly gravitate towards ghost Pokemon because we're creepers, and we have them in sleeves on magnets on our refrigerator.
Oh, that's so cool.
And we got some Pokemon tattoos.
Nice.
Yeah, my
Nice.
husband's got the original ghost Pokemon on his sleeve.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
But we'll go
Yeah.
out and they'll do community days, and there's actually a cemetery by our house that if you drive
Okay.
by it, there's like a bunch of Pokestops lined up outside of the cemetery.
Oh wow.
So like here we are, we've got our guitar witch business, and our whole house is Halloween all the time, and
Mhm.
then just a casual family dinner is like, hey, are we going to the cemetery today? And my daughter will go, yay. Oh yes, let's go get some coffees and drive by the cemetery.
Drive by the
Ah,
cemetery. But it's Pokestops.
there's
How we
Pokestops, and the grocery store's right there. You can get your coffee
right?
at the Starbucks, and then
Exactly. Exactly.
it's a beautiful family outing.
Like SpongeBob, it stayed around for forever too.
Oh yeah, my kid's super into SpongeBob still, and it actually earned me some cool mom points because
Mhm.
I've seen every episode
I've seen it a
from
million
from when it
times.
from when
Yep.
it was like really big the first go around,
Yep.
and my sister would watch it all the time, so it'd just be on all
Mhm.
the time. And I'll come in and my daughter will be watching. She's like, "Oh, did you see this?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is the one where this guy does this." She's like, "How did you know that?" Like, I am, I'm all about the SpongeBob. Let's go.
Man, that's so cool. How those shows have been around just so long. My
Oh,
childhood.
they've got like new spin-offs for everything too.
They
Like
do.
even
They
the
do.
they've got like movies, and with all
Uh-huh.
the games coming out, there was a
Yep.
SpongeBob Switch game that came out, and now they have Camp
Oh, I didn't know
Coral.
that.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, we play that too. But
Wow. That's
the
cool.
newest, there's like a claymation-y looking. It's not so much claymation, it's some sort of like digital animation that looks a
Mhm.
little different, called Camp Coral, and it's supposed to be SpongeBob and all the characters at summer camp.
Yeah.
And there's a Patrick Star spinoff. That one I haven't seen yet, but
I've not seen any of them. I need to check
man,
these out. I need to
I could
check
tell
these.
you all the best little kid shows like Centaur World. You gotta watch
Oh
that.
yeah.
That is
Okay.
like, have you seen Centaur World?
No. No, I
Oh,
haven't.
like I wept at the end of that one. That was like
Really?
gut wrenching. Like it's crazy to like, it's on Netflix, but it's got a horse from the human world comes into this like parallel universe thing where it's centaurs, and she's trying to get back to the person who rides her. And there's this whole war thing going down, and something called the Nowhere King, and he's part like goat monster, but it has songs and singing and dancing, and then like the most horrific ending for a children's show. Like, oh my God, my husband and I were watching it, and there's a song that they sing when the Nowhere King comes. It's like, you'll bring joy to the Nowhere King when singing and laughter dies or something, and we both went.
It's like, what?
Rewind that back, come again. But no, it's so fantastically written as far as storyline, with so many like little kid things to like keep their attention, and colors, and the music is hilarious, but the storyline itself, it's like someone wrote this tragic love story novel and like, yeah, that's not gonna sell. What if we put monsters that sang songs in it? They're like, yes, sell it. Perfect.
Do it. Holy cow. No, I'll check that out. I will check that out.
It's really, really funny.
I'll be honest with you. What I watched today, because I've had kind of a lazy day up until the snake guy got here with my new snake.
Love it.
Was like a 10-hour compilation of 90s TV commercials on YouTube. That's what I watched. It was like so wild how many of them I remembered. And I don't know what it is about cereal brands and their advertising, but I remembered every cereal commercial. Like a lot of them
sticks in your brain.
It did, and I don't know why. Especially like Grape Nuts and Total. I was like, oh my God, I could almost.
Whatever happened to Grape Nuts?
I don't know.
It's like eating like sheep food that you get at the zoo, but for some reason everybody's grandmother had that at their house.
I was gonna say more like gravel.
Yeah.
Pea gravel, like.
And it even would kind of like, I don't know, it would smell like the sheep food at the petting zoo.
It did.
So much fiber, super good for you.
But it had neither grapes nor nuts in it. Why did they call it grape nuts?
Grapefruit? That's another thing that's weirdly misnamed.
It is.
Oh my gosh. Like so the cereal commercial that is true. You're halfway there. Living on a prayer, baby. But the commercial for what is it? Frosted Flakes. It would play every we were on some streaming service, and every commercial break, it was only like every 10 minutes or so, not too often, but they would play the same Frosted Flakes commercial, to the point where I hear from the other room my 6-year-old go, I never want Frosted Flakes ever again. I'm so tired. She's in there going, no one cares, Tony.
She's like cussing out Tony.
Never show me this commercial. I'm so tired of it. Show any other commercial.
That's so funny. Kids are hilarious. Noah's thing, my boy, when he was little, like, I mean, when he was like 6 and 7, he could remember car commercial slogans. I don't know why, but that was his thing. Like almost like savant level. It was wild.
I had a cousin that would do that with fast food commercial jingles. Yeah, and he would just walk through the house and be like, ba da ba ba ba. Like,
yep. Humans
Joe's here again.
Humans are such bizarre,
very, very impressionable.
We are, and I don't know what marketing firm did the cereal commercials, but I need to hire them. I need to hire them for every project I do.
It's all about the jingle, man. If you get something that's so obnoxiously like stuck in someone's head for like a freaking 5-second clip for it to get stuck, that's talent right there.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's so wild. I know I keep bringing it up, but I'm blown away by the cereal commercials and how they stuck. 30 years later, I'm just like, yeah, I could recite them all word for word. Maybe that was my thing. Maybe it was the cereal commercials. I don't know.
Oh, we were, speaking of word for word, we were talking to Josh's mom last night, because Josie will video chat with the grandparents because they live in Florida.
Right.
And she asked her if at her school, they recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and
Mhm.
she tried really hard. And then my husband looks up, he's like, that should be something that just stuck in my head. I don't know if I could. So I recited the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Then
totally could.
I was like,
Yeah.
you want to kick it up a notch? Mama went to college. I can do the preamble to the Constitution. They're like, no, you can't. I'm like, yes, I can. Stuff just sticks in there and it never comes out
Yeah.
ever.
Right.
Lord knows the amount of
No.
space I could free up by forgetting the lyrics to commercial jingles and the entire preamble to the Constitution.
That's insane. But that's awesome that you retained that though.
Oh, I
That's,
can't take all the credit. That's not learning. That's I mean, it is learning, but it's
yeah, it
Schoolhouse
is.
Rock.
Right.
Schoolhouse Rock. That was
Oh,
like a 90s staple in
I
my house,
loved
on
Schoolhouse
loop
Rock.
all the time.
Yep. I
They've got
love
the whole American History saga. We had that one on VHS.
Unfortunately, I burned a lot of those memories out of my brain in my teenager years. To go back and undo that and be like, don't put that in your body, Josh. You won't remember shit.
You're
I
not
wish
gonna
I
remember
had
shit.
I wish I had done that. But
Honestly, I'm a little afraid for when they start teaching Josie math past what I can remember.
Mhm.
It's like she's gonna have to get a tutor or something. I could probably get you up to long division, but then I am out, honey.
Yeah, yeah. My son, let's see, it was his 8th grade year, and I blame his teacher for this too, because he's done great in every other class, but he didn't do any of his work that entire 9 weeks, like the last 9 weeks of his 8th grade year. He did none of his math work, none of it.
Oh,
He turned in maybe 3 assignments. So
dang.
she's like, we'll let him do it, but he's got to get it all turned in by the end of the 9 weeks. So we did this insane math boot camp at our house, like me and him at the dining room table. From the time that I got home from work until the time we went to bed, it was just nothing but math, and my brain was fried. It was
Is
fried
that
from that.
that scene from The Incredibles 2
Yeah,
where they're sitting at the
yeah,
table like, why did they change math? Math is
exactly.
math.
Exactly. And then I would be like, this is how I do it, Noah. And he was like, that makes so much more sense because
Stop changing math.
for real, it's math. But no, it was awful. But see, I mean, even up to that and after that, he's never had trouble turning in assignments or doing his work. I don't know what it is. If it was, like I said, I blame the teacher because he complained about her all year. Just like
I
apparently
took
all she did was just complain about how no one did their work. And I was like, well, she could tell them to do it.
could sit down and physically do. I took a class in college. It was an art history course, and I was paying attention to every lecture and I wrote everything down and I was taking notes. But by the time you get to the test, it had nothing to do with the lectures at all. Apparently, according to
Oh my
to the
God.
teacher, you have to go on her little website and read the things she maps out because she would go off on tangents about random things during class. So you couldn't
Oh,
physically pass the course unless you went on her
wow.
website and looked at the documents she uploaded about the topic. I was like, I failed the first two tests on that, but then when I started going online, everything was right there. Like, why don't you just read the paper that you tell me to go look up?
Yeah.
Stop talking
Yeah.
about random stuff.
Like this is an art history. I don't need to know how Henry Ford invented the assembly line. Like, what is that?
Mechanics is art.
I guess. I don't know. That's
Oh man.
insane. Oh my gosh.
I have
Yeah.
found that though, like in my line of work, it's a beautiful balance with guitar, like being a luthier and being a
Mhm.
technician between the mechanics and the art of it.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
it's like you have to mix the engineering, the woodworking. It's very like 3D art design, but it also has to be functional and coincide with all the
Super,
dimensions. And
super technical.
I'm actually very grateful that I did major in art and minor in
Yeah.
business just because
Yeah.
like for carving a saddle or carving a nut, it's all
Mhm.
very like functional sculpture and it has to
Yep.
be a certain way and look beautiful. And Yeah, I
That's
get a lot of
awesome.
joy out of that. I started
Yeah.
carving guitar picks a couple of years ago just because I had so much extra wood from when I was building stuff.
Hmm.
And I'm just like little by little chipping away at that giant pile of wood that's somewhere over here. Like, don't look behind the couch level of wood.
There's nothing back there.
Don't worry about that at all. But like functional art, I love functional art. Like I
Yeah.
remember in college making all of my sculptures had some sort of functional thing. Like it'd be like hands holding a bowl or
Hmm.
I just love that stuff.
That's
I
what
feel like,
guitars are. Guitars are
yeah,
functional art.
functional art.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
I do feel like I found my calling as far as that goes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think, well, instruments in general are functional art. I mean, they all have their own inherent beauty. It doesn't matter if it's a woodwind, brass, or guitar. They're all beautiful in their own way, like aesthetically. Just the like looking at like a tuba or a trumpet, talking about brass instruments, the way that they're designed, how they compress all of that basically brass pipe into that intricate design is so cool.
See, that blows my mind. I'm stringed instruments all the way. I have
Yeah.
absolutely no idea how brass instruments work. Like I don't think I could even make one make noise. Like
Oh yeah, you totally could. You totally could. It's not that hard. I've
I could
recently picked
try.
the trumpet up again, because there's some horn parts in the other project I'm in, that I play bass for. That I don't know how I'm going to do that because I'm the bass player. If I was a guitar player, I could stop playing guitar and drop out and just do the horn parts. But the
Oh
bass can't
yeah,
really
that
drop
bass
out.
you got to
So
carry that.
yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. But I've recently, because God, I haven't played since
You
I
could just
graduated.
hit a root note and just like let it ring out and then play.
Or try to like tap with one hand the bass
Oh yeah.
part. No, that ain't gonna
I
work.
have a song that I do. It's only a small section of it that I'm tapping a real fast bass line because
That's cool.
the cadence is like, so I
Yeah.
have to go doodle doodle and
Oh,
that
that's
works.
awesome.
But I
Yeah,
have to do something else at the same time.
that's awesome.
It's a lot of things.
It is. It is. Well, actually, this has been so much fun. We will have to do
Yeah,
this again.
absolutely.
You're welcome on the podcast anytime. I just talk about music. I talk about whatever. Like it doesn't have to really. It doesn't. I guess music is the theme kind of on my channel because it's a music channel. But
Oh yeah,
like
my whole world is music, and in
yeah.
the background while I'm working on stuff, we'll either be listening to a project that I'm working on now, or the
Mhm.
super fun one. It's how I have way too much knowledge about television. I just put my phone in front of where I'm working
Uh-huh.
and listen to a TV show in the background.
Yeah, yeah. I listen to podcasts all the time. I don't even listen to TV anymore. It's just like nothing but podcasts. I don't know why. I have this like insatiable thirst for just information. I
Ain't a
just love
bad thing.
hearing I just love hearing people talk too, and that's why I like these long form podcasts versus like listening to a documentary because you're hearing people, especially if they're talking about like an issue or something that needs to be debated, discussed, worked out. You're hearing people in real time just suss out ideas, and that to me is, I don't know, that it's more meaningful to me for some reason.
Oh, for sure. We actually, one of, I think it was this tattoo,
Yeah.
during that whole process, the artist and I were listening to a podcast debating the history of the Salem witch trials.
Oh wow.
It was fascinating. Like there
Wow.
was just a whole bunch of information that I didn't even know about.
Wow. Funny story before we end the podcast about the Salem witch trials. I know that's hilarious, right? Funny story about the Salem witch trials.
Funny about,
Um,
people getting crushed to death with rocks.
right. No, this is honestly has very little to do about the Salem witch trials. But when I was a freshman in high school, Columbine had just happened, so there was
Oh,
like
dang.
this big moral panic. There was this just panic in general, about anybody who was, I guess, different, whatnot. But like me and some of my friends, I dressed in black and listened to metal, and having fundamentalist parents that I did, kind of got swept up, I think, in the panic, and the school actually helped with this too. But anyway, so one of my, and he wasn't really a friend, more of an acquaintance. I was just in high school band with him, and he rode the bus with me. He decided, since the Christians had their devotions, he was going to do a Wiccan, pagan, satanic, like all other religions, I guess, devotion. And he made these little flyers and handed them out and that stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever, dude, that's fine. I don't care. Literally was like my attitude, but
Okay, whatever, man.
yeah, cool, dude. So somehow the school resource officer called my parents and was like, told them that me and this dude were this leader of of a satanic cult at school, and we were trying to have a satanic ritual at school. And apparently they thought we were going to bring guns in our guitars cases to school and shoot the school up and all this. And I was just like,
boy.
what? Or like, blew my mind. But anyway, all that happened, and like everyone thought I was a Satanist and everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Never was.
Didn't they do that whole storyline on Stranger Things too?
They did.
He had the D&D group.
I should sue them for that. I want my
that is my life, man.
Right. So anyway, I got taken out of school for I missed a whole semester. Mom and Dad were going to put me in a private school,
geez.
and it was this whole ordeal. But then eventually I went back to high school. Life resumed as normal, and everything calmed down, and everybody saw that I wasn't really a Satanist. Really had nothing to do with any of that. But at any rate, the point of my story and the connection to the Salem witch trials, the first telephone number I ever got, the last 4 digits were 1692. And I was like,
dang.
Oh my God, that is hilarious and so ironic considering all the,
we must alert the church elders.
Right? Because I was wrongly accused of being a Satanist. And then my first 1692 obviously was when the Salem witch trials happened. So
dang,
that was
bizarre.
It was so bizarre. And I was in high school. It was like 2 years later, like my first phone number was 1692. And I was like, wow, that's interesting.
Oh, man.
But anyway, thank you so much for
no problem
coming on the show and hanging out with us. And I rambled as much. I should have just shut up and let you talk, but I've rambled.
Oh, no. It's good to have the back and forth, because if you let me go, I'll just talk about dogs again or something.
Great. That's great. No,
the random Netflix shows.
It's been awesome. Actually, where can people find you on the intranets?
So I have several accounts for different projects I'm doing. Ashli Rose Music, ASHLI Rose Music, is on Bandcamp and Instagram and Facebook. I also have a ton of other things. The Guitar Witch Repairs. You can see all the stuff I work on. I'll post before and after of bigger projects, and there's a website there. If you go on Facebook or Instagram, you can click on a temporary website. I'm in the process of building a bigger one right now. And Honey Wolves will be starting to post things soon. That is a brand new project. Nice. So we will get some good stuff going here.
Awesome. Well, I'll have everything linked in the description down below too, so people can just find you there also. Yeah, we'll link all your profiles for the Guitar Witch and everything. You just tell me what you want linked and we'll link it so they can find you. Awesome. Everybody, please remember to like the video if you liked and enjoyed the ramblings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Leave us a comment down below. Obviously, you've heard me talk for 10 minutes about how I'm not going to read it, so, whatever, but still leave a comment for the algorithm.
And let other people see it. Oh, if they're on YouTube, they can see my music video of my song Josie that just made the Buzz Buzz Radio Asheville.
Yeah.
It was the most requested last month. It is a cute little ukulele song, and you get to see me hugely giant 9 months pregnant in that video.
I'll link that down below too. People need to see it, and they can subscribe to your channel.
Yeah.
Go to her channel and subscribe if you aren't. But everybody, I hope you have a wonderful week. And next week we will have another awesome guest on. Ashli, again, thank you so much. It's been a huge pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. All right, everybody. Peace out.